on CTV, how will the new coronavirus variant affect campus life and what to expect for the NCAA volleyball tournament?
And how will the current employment shortage affect your holiday shopping and where you can buy your Christmas trees?
All that and more on CTV starting right now.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Robbie Patla.
And I'm Ren Wadsworth.
Breaking news, a Fort Collins man has been arrested for possessing a pair of child's underwear and failing to register as a sex offender. 53-year-old Sidney Hines was convicted in 2007 and charged with aggravated incest and sexual assault on a child. When police arrested Hines recently for failing to register as a sex offender, they discovered a pair of Justice brand, a child's clothing line, underwear. Police are investigating where the underwear came from, and anyone with information is encouraged to contact Detective Tessa Jacobson at 970-221-6575.
A man was arrested yesterday evening for allegedly threatening people with a knife and attempting to stab a police dog in Old Town, Fort Collins. When police showed up to the scene, 29-year-old Matthew Bishop was holding a knife, threatening the officers, and allegedly stabbed one of the police dogs. The German Shepherd was wearing a protective vest and did not sustain any injuries. No community members or dogs were harmed, and Bishop is currently booked in Larimer County Jail.
Domestic violence at Colorado State University is 5 times higher than it was in 2019. 17 domestic abuse cases have been reported, and 16 of these disputes occurred on campus residential areas. Domestic violence is the only crime that has increased on CSU's campus. In fact, crime at CSU has gone down by 20% since 2019. However, these numbers do not reflect violence that students have occurred off campus. CTV producer Lee Medley has more on this story this Thursday.
After 4 months, the remains of the final victim from the Black Hollow flood have been discovered. The body belongs to 57-year-old Diana Brown from San Antonio, Texas. Brown and her 3 family members were swept away by the flood this past July, and now all 4 members of the family can be put to rest.
The enjoyment of stuffing ourselves with turkey quickly came to a halt last week with the surprising news of a new COVID variant. With this news, the question arises, what will the rest of the year look like for the CSU community? During fall break, a new COVID-19 variant called Omicron surfaced in South Africa. Director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Dr. Anthony Fauci, explains why this variant may be more dangerous than others.
The profile of the mutation strongly suggests that it's going to have an advantage in transmissibility and that it might evade immune protection that you would get, for example, from a monoclonal antibody.
Luckily, co-chair of CSU's pandemic preparedness team, Mark Barker, says this strain, while more transmissible, is easier to manage.
The cases of this variant in South Africa are being managed at home. The symptoms are very mild, and so it's being managed in a home setting.
As a result, Barker does not see the variant as a huge threat.
We don't anticipate that this variant will have an impact on the rest of the fall semester.
As it stands for the spring semester, the same protocols will stay in place.
The current strategies in place for fall are going to carry over to spring semester. How classrooms are set up right now, we don't anticipate that we would have to introduce additional distancing.
Barker suggests we stay on the same course we are right now as we enter next year.
Let's keep doing what we're doing as we transition out into winter break, enjoy a holiday season, come back and do exactly what we've done to this point.
Barker also mentioned that during the spike of Delta earlier this year, CSU was being used as a model due to community engagement in pandemic mitigation. Hopefully we can stay on track to beat this new strain before it gets worse.
A house near the intersection of Drake Road and Taft Hill Road burned down early Saturday morning. Crews showed up to the 2400 block of Wyandotte Drive to find the house engulfed in flames. Crews were able to put out the fire, and 4 people as well as their dog were able to be safely rescued. No one was hurt, but the damage to the building was significant. Damage to the houses and property surrounding the home seemed to be at a minimal, and as of now, the cause for the house fire has yet to be determined.
The saga of adventures for one Colorado man have sadly come to an end. Adventurer, artist, and former Larimer County Commissioner Jim Disney passed away after a long battle with cancer. Disney had strong connections to the Rocky Mountains and is responsible for many paintings and posters of the park. He has summited all of the park's 128 peaks and has an additional 1,000 summits to his name. His love for the outdoors and Colorado led him to run for county commissioner in 1993. During his 8 years as commissioner, he was an advocate for the Open Lands Program and environmental conservation. Disney's impact on the state and legacy will live on through his inspiring art and strong spirit.
That's not the only hit the Fort Collins community has faced recently. Longtime CSU professor and the father of veterinary medical ethics has passed away at age 78. Bernie Rowland first came to CSU in 1969 and published one of the first ever books over animal ethics and treatment. The family hopes to commemorate Bernie with a celebration of life in the spring.
Don't go away, Rams, because Michelle Ellis is up next to let you know what to expect this week for weather.
Awkward. Do I look familiar? I should. You might remember me from here. Here. Or maybe even here.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
It can actually be a perfect moment to reach out to a friend and ask if they're okay if they seem down.
It doesn't matter how you say it.
You all right?
Everything's okay?
Oh, gee.
You all right, girl?
You cool?
You bugging dog.
Just show you're there for them.
Go on, Kelly. Susie Awkward.
Hey, you haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Hello everyone, my name's Michelle Ellis, here to give you the weather forecast for this week. So let's dive into what we're feeling right now in Fort Collins. Right now we can see that's about 46 degrees and that's going to cool down into low 40s this evening. We're going to have some light winds coming in about 5 miles an hour from the northwest and there's a very low chance of rain, about 1%. Now it's very chilly this evening, but this week we're going to be really feeling those warmer temperatures. And as with those warmer temperatures, this is because there's a high pressure ridge moving its way in. And because of this high pressure ridge, it's going to be bringing in drier temperatures and warmer weather. From last week, it was pretty chilly, about 40 degrees, and this week it's warming up to the 60s. Now, it might be chilly tonight, but it will be warm throughout the rest of the week. Now, we're going to see that throughout Colorado, it's going to be quite cool. And the eastern plains, it's about low 30s, higher 20s. And as we move into the front range, we're going to see that warms up a bit into the low 40s and low 30s in Pueblo, but higher 30s in Fort Collins. Now into the mountain range, it cools down even more, even Gunnison getting out to 12 and Alamosa to 10 degrees. It warms up in Telluride and Grand Junction to 30 and high 20s, and it cools down in Craig to 20, Vail at 30. But tomorrow, it's going to be quite warm as we look across the state. In the eastern plains, we're going to see low 70s and low 70s throughout with high 60s in Colorado Springs and Fort Collins. And in the mountain range we move in, it cools down to the high 50s throughout this region. Now, Fort Collins, it's going to warm up there as we can see 68 degrees, but it's going to cool down in the evening to about 37. Now, we're going to see that the sunset's getting pushed back to about 4:34 in the afternoon. A very low chance of rain. We're going to see some partly cloudy conditions, and a very chill breeze coming in from the southwest. Now, throughout the rest of the week, we're going to see similar temperatures, about the low 70s, higher 60s, and in the evening, it's going to cool down a lot to the high 30s, with Friday getting down to the low 30s, and it's going to cool down again Saturday to the high 50s. Now, there's going to be a very low chance of rain throughout the week, about 1%, with the highest chance of rain on Saturday at 3%. But for the most part, some light breezes coming in, but nothing too crazy. Now, that's all I have for weather for you guys this evening, but stay tuned because there's more news after this.
I'll be right back. Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case.
if you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
Welcome back from the break, Rams.
If you drive along Timberline Road regularly, it might be time to change your commute. The city of Fort Collins is beginning a concrete repair project today on Timberline between Harmony-Trilby Road. The project is supposed to last 10 to 12 days with lane closures and changing of traffic patterns.
Students at Colorado State University have been working for nearly half a year to cultivate flowers for the holiday season.
As the holiday season is in full swing, the popular poinsettia or poinsettia flower may be on the minds of many, but growing these plants takes months of preparation.
Our students, since August, have been in charge of the day in and day out maintenance of this poinsettia crop. And so they do everything in terms of environmental control, managing the crop in terms of watering. We discuss in class about pesticide applications, anything else that needs to happen in terms of managing this crop.
While the practicum may smell like flowers, students involved like Bjorn believe it's a lot of work and often find the flora to be fragile and finicky.
We had to enter a really specific light schedule for the flowering, so in order for the poinsettias to become what we know them as, we would come in at 8 a.m., cover 30 cultivars of 50 plants with blackout tarp, really specific regime to get the plants to where they need to be.
But these poinsettias do more than just look and smell great.
Going into their 26th year, the practicum aims to not only educate students, but also bring revenue from the poinsettias back to the greenhouses.
So the sale really provides a way that we can give students this experience and then be able to bring the proceeds from that sale to continue to support this program and make sure we can continue providing students this experience.
After hours upon hours of care, hundreds of healthy poinsettias sit in the Horticulture Center's greenhouse, waiting for their time to shine.
The poinsettia sale will take place at the Horticulture Center located on Center Avenue. Flowers can be purchased starting tomorrow and will last until December 3rd. You know, I was just thinking that I might need to get a little more color in my home for the holidays, so I might just have to pick a couple of those up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't see myself much of as decorator just because I don't really know how to do it. But I'll tell you what I'm really looking forward to this holiday season, and that's gorging myself with holiday treats.
Well, if you're looking for a sweet treat, our reporter Natalie Devereaux might just have the perfect place. Natalie?
Thanks, guys. With the holidays right around the corner, many people are looking forward to their annual traditions. A common one that comes to mind is sending candy to friends and family, especially in the age of COVID, when sending presents in the mail has significantly increased. However, this year we are seeing major shipping delays across the U.S. and increased taxes on packages, which is changing how both consumers and businesses are buying and shipping this holiday season.
Vern's Toffee House has not changed how they hand make their toffee since they opened in 1976, but with challenges created by COVID, they are having to alter aspects of their family business.
I'm the third generation owner of Vern's Toffee House. Vern was my grandfather.
With 85% of orders occurring during the holiday season and majority of business being mail orders, shipping delays have a significant impact on the local toffee shop.
Thanksgiving and Christmas, every day we will ship approximately 2,000 packages.
They are urging customers to order early this season with hopes to offset the delays and ensure the quality of the product when it arrives.
It's delivered 2.5, 3 weeks late. Product is no longer good, and now you have to replace it.
This is causing extra work for an already understaffed business.
It has absolutely created more work for us to do the same volume, if not more, but get it done earlier.
While Vern's is adapting to overcome these hardships, there are still challenges out of their control.
Historically, we have shipped worldwide, but in the age of COVID, there are certain countries that aren't accepting packages. And this year, the EU created a value-added tax on anything that is being imported.
There is also an increased cost of shipping domestically.
it makes shipping considerably more expensive.
Even though the holidays may look a bit different, Verns is determined to stay true to their traditions while being a part of so many others.
It's just an incredible honor. We are taking care of the second and third generation of toffee customers.
With delayed shipping becoming the new norm, most businesses are encouraging customers to place holiday orders early, and many mail carriers are no longer guaranteeing delivery times. So if you have presents left to buy, it is recommended to place those orders now. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Natalie. You know, packages aren't the only thing that are being delayed. Colorado ski seasons are delayed at several ski resorts. Steamboat Springs officially opened its doors yesterday, nearly 2 weeks after its anticipated date. Steamboats is the latest ski resort in Colorado to delay their season's start. A year prior, many slopes pushed their launch to early December due to coronavirus precautions. However, many resorts are more concerned with the warm and dry weather that has persisted into the end of November. The high temperatures persuaded slopes like Steamboat to open 1 to 2 weeks later than years prior to 2020.
The Roosevelt National Forest has reintroduced its tree cutting tradition, but with big changes. A year ago, the program was canceled due to significant damage in the park from the Cameron Peak fire. This year, however, park rangers believe that the tree trimmings will help in future fire mitigation. While the Christmas cuttings are back, there are significant changes. To help with forest regrowth in burn areas, evergreen options have been limited to specific areas. The available pines and access routes are highlighted on the area cutting map. Another big change to the holiday hackings is that permits cannot be purchased in person. Both tickets and permits can only be obtained online this year at www.recreation.gov/tree-permits.
Well, Rams, that is all the news we have for you tonight.
But don't go anywhere because Brandon Cruz is up next to give you a preview of an upcoming CSU volleyball tournament.
Here she comes. Hi, Krista. Take you, Jamie, to be my wife.
The ceremony was a blast. It was just like the surreal moment of my dreams are coming true. When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said, "Oh, I apologize. She won't be taking you in as a client." We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to. And sitting there in that small, cold room, I wanted to cry, just thinking, what did we bring this kid into? We're simply asking to treat our family the same way that you would treat any family.
How's it going, Ramley? Welcome back to another edition of Bleacher Beat. I'm your host, as always, Brandon Cruz. Well, there's still plenty of jock-eyeing and positioning to be done before the final college football playoff rankings come out on Sunday. See what's on the line after a blockbuster rivalry weekend. Plus, though the CSU Volleyball's NCAA tournament hopes came to a crushing blow last week, the bracket is still set. Get your analysis of the field here on Bleacher Beat, which starts right now. College athletics will be the theme throughout tonight's show. And to start, what an insane day of college football Saturday was. Rivalry weekend lived up to all expectations and then some. Now, don't make me laugh. Of course, I'm not alluding to CSU's catastrophic performance against Nevada, who really isn't even a rival. No, I'm referring to the 3 marquee matchups that brought us a quadruple overtime thriller and 2 bitter rivalries. First up was the showdown between Ohio State and Michigan in the Big House for this year's version of the game. The Buckeyes have totally owned the series as of late, winning 15 of the past 16 meetings, including 8 straight. And that's been the consistent knock on UM head coach Jim Harbaugh, who, despite having multiple 10-win seasons, can't seem to beat Ohio State. That fate was soon changed, though, As the snow fell in front of a crowd of over 110,000, toughness and determination led the Wolverines to a battering of then number 2 Buckeyes in Ann Arbor, 42-27, meaning for the first time since 2011, Michigan finally notched a W in one of the best rivalries in all of sports. The win also helped them clinch the Big Ten East and, most importantly, silence at least some of Harbaugh's critics. Michigan, not Ohio State, is now in great position for the college football playoff. That is, if they can get past resurging Iowa this weekend in Indianapolis, who, like them, loves the running game. And Saturday's excitement continued with Alabama and Auburn in the Iron Bowl. The Tigers were 20.5-point underdogs, and yet, to the surprise of many, myself included, held a 10-point lead heading into the fourth quarter and also held Bama scoreless for most of the night. But, to be expected, the third-ranked Tide came rolling back. After cashing in with a field goal, Alabama capped a game-tying 97-yard drive when QB Bryce Young found Ja'Cory Brooks streaking down the sideline with 24 seconds left in regulation. The teams then traded touchdowns and field goals in the first 2 overtimes and then delivered the scoring passes from the 3. Auburn's upset bid faded there, though, surrendering the deciding 2-point conversion to John Mechie in the 4th overtime after coming up short on their offensive possession. Man, Auburn had this game in the bag, and yet Alabama somehow survived. Of course they did. Nonetheless, what an exhilarating game. And to cap it all off, Bedlam was an absolute circus. 2 muffed punts, a safety, and a kickoff return for a touchdown all occurred in this one. But, like Michigan, Oklahoma State would finally snap a 6-game skid to their rival that has dominated them recently, edging the Sooners 37-33 to earn a spot in the Big 12 championship and keep their playoff hopes alive. Wow, what a crazy weekend. And I didn't even mention the coaching changes at both OU and Notre Dame. So, what does all this mean? Well, let's work our way from the top. First, Alabama and Georgia play in the SEC championship game. If Alabama wins, they're in. But if they lose, they're out. Georgia is in either way. So I think Georgia will actually win this game. They've been so dominant all season long, and Alabama just hasn't looked good the past 2 outings against Arkansas and Auburn. So I've got Georgia at number 1. Number 2, Michigan. They play Iowa in the Big Ten championship game, and I expect that to be a low-scoring affair. Let's be honest, Iowa's not going to blow anybody out. Their offense is way too inconsistent, and they're so limited on that side of the ball. Michigan will win this game, but it will be close. So I've got Georgia at number 1, Michigan at number 2. Then number 3 will be Cincinnati since Alabama's out. Cincinnati plays against Houston in the AAC championship at home at Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati will win that game and finish off a crazy regular season going undefeated. So that leaves 1 spot remaining, Oklahoma State or Notre Dame. Oklahoma State plays Baylor in the Big 12 championship game. The win against the Sooners knocked out Oklahoma, which means 2-loss Baylor will battle the Cowboys. Now, this game is very intriguing because Oklahoma State beat Baylor at the beginning of the year by 10, but that was at the beginning of the year. It's totally different this time of year. But I do think the Cowboys will be able to win, and a close one. This game will also be close. So my top 4 is Georgia. Let's see, we got Georgia, Michigan, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma State. It'll be crazy to watch those games, and it'll be just an insane weekend. College football this year has just been incredible. Well, Rant fans, that's all the sports action I have for you tonight. Be sure to catch Camp's Corner for more information on Michael Porter Jr.'s injury, and I'll see you next week for my last show of the semester. Also, college volleyball does have a tournament this Thursday, so that should be interesting. But Noah Padsley will conclude tonight's show by giving you all the spice and entertainment.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Welcome back from fall break, Rams, and thank you once again for tuning in to entertainment here at CTV. I hope everyone is feeling refreshed and ready to take on these last couple weeks. As usual, I'm your host, Noah Pasley. We're probably a little lethargic from Thanksgiving last week, but the holidays are officially upon us, and hopefully you caught this chance just a couple hours ago. The annual lighting of the menorah, which has been a tradition for the start of Hanukkah at CSU for more than a decade, took place on the plaza this evening with President Joyce McConnell and even Cam the Ram. And as we shift into December, of course there is no shortage of spots to locally source your own Christmas tree, including at this Fort Collins nursery. The Bath Garden Center, located off of Timberline and Prospect, has once again geared up for holiday needs here in town, with plenty of pretty poinsettias, freshly cut firs, and wicked wreaths. Especially around the holidays, it's great to shop at small, local businesses, but sometimes it can be hard to find them. However, holiday markets like this one in Fort Collins last weekend can be the perfect opportunity to support the community.
The Colorado Makers Market came to Fort Collins last weekend. The event, which brought 90-plus vendors to the Northside Aswan Community Center, gave small businesses an opportunity to sell their wares.
You prep for a really long time, and then in one day you do a ton of business. So it's really important for myself and for all the other local makers to get as much advertising as possible and promote these events and the people that make them happen. I mean, it's my personal livelihood, and I couldn't do without the Colorado Makers Market and other events like it.
But while these holiday markets are often the best way for small businesses to advertise themselves, many feel that customers undervalue the hard work.
I'll say the holiday shows are really awesome to participate in, and having one like literally just down the street from me that I get to look forward to is really exciting. You try and put yourself in the shoes of a small business owner. I can't tell you how many people will kind of like balk at the prices and things like that, and you kind of have to sit there and explain it to them. It's local artists, local time, local resources.
You have to keep your eye out, and if you're not used to shopping small and shopping local, you have to make that a habit for yourself and keep your eye out for shops that sell local items and events like this.
People look at the Colorado Art Market and they're like, it doesn't exist. But like, it's very there. You just kind of have to like actually actively, at least right now, look for it. Mm-hmm.
But even if you couldn't make it to the market, there's still opportunities to admire art in the community. Take this one, a new exhibit at the Haddon Gallery. The Haddon Gallery, located in the Visual Arts Building, is hosting a new exhibit, Degrees, by photographer Odette England. Degrees is a series of large-scale photographs taken during and after the Australian bushfires from 2019 to 2020, and the exhibit will be around until December 10th with an artist talk this Thursday at 4:30 in the afternoon. Also coming this Thursday is an opportunity to support some of our own local artists at the CSU Student Documentary Film Showcase. The event, which will be hosted at the Lyric, will serve as a debut for several student documentaries, as well as a first look for the newly formed Tree Stump Films team at Rocky Mountain Student Media. The event will begin at 6 in the evening with a meet and greet, and the showcase will begin at 7. Well, Fort Collins, that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure to come back tomorrow to check out the final episode of the semester from CTV Cooks. Take care, Rams.